Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother and sister, welcome back to Islamic Notes channel. Guidance often comes from unexpected paths. The story of Dr. Kevin Barrett, an American academic, author, and activist, is proof that the search for truth can lead someone to Islam. Dr. Barrett is known as an intellectual figure who dares to question mainstream narratives, both in religion and politics, until he finally finds peace in Islam. Dr. Kevin Barrett is an academic, author, and activist known for his controversial views on global issues, especially regarding the events of September 11, 2001. However, there is one aspect of his life that has caught the attention of many people: his journey to Islam. As someone who grew up in a Christian environment and has a strong academic background, Dr. Barrett's spiritual journey shows a unique blend of intellect, truth-seeking, and personal experience. Origins: life before Islam. Kevin Barrett was born in the United States in the late 1950s. He grew up in a moderate Christian family. Since childhood, he was known as an intelligent child who liked to ask questions, especially about big issues such as life, death, and the existence of God. However, when he entered his teens, he began to feel that the Christian teachings taught in church did not fully make sense to him. Dr. Kevin Barrett is an academic, author, and activist who is widely known as one of the most vocal figures in criticizing United States foreign policy, especially in the context of the war on terror. However, before becoming a Muslim, his life was marked by a long spiritual journey and a deep search for the meaning of life. Childhood and family background. Kevin Barrett was born and raised in a non-Muslim family in the United States. He grew up in a secular environment, although his family has Protestant Christian roots. However, religion did not play a significant role in his family life. As a child, he was known as an intelligent, critical, and curious individual. Since childhood, Kevin has shown great interest in various fields of science and philosophy. Books on history, religion, and social sciences became his constant companions. He often asked questions about the meaning of life, the origin of humans, and the purpose of existence in the world, although at that time he did not have a clear spiritual guide. Early education and spiritual search. As a teenager and young adult, Kevin Barrett attended college in the United States, where he studied literature and philosophy. His formal education gave him a strong intellectual foundation, but it also left him with more questions than answers. In his early years of education, Kevin began to explore various religious traditions and spirituality. He read about Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. He even became interested in the philosophical teachings of existentialism and secularism. However, despite his exploration of these teachings, he felt that none of them truly satisfied his spiritual thirst. As he grew older, Kevin drifted further away from religion. He became an agnostic, someone who is not sure about the existence of God, but remains open to seeking answers. His interests in philosophy and the social sciences led him to attend university, where he studied world literature and culture. During his college years, Kevin became interested in Eastern culture, including its spiritual traditions. He studied religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism, but felt that these teachings did not fully answer his questions about life and the meaning of existence. Introduction to Islam. Kevin's introduction to Islam occurred indirectly through academic studies and encounters with Muslim communities. As an intellectual, he began reading translations of the Quran and classical works by Muslim thinkers such as Al-Ghazali and Ibn Khaldun. He was impressed by the intellectual depth of Islam and how its teachings answered fundamental questions about life, God, and morality. One of the most important moments in his life was when he began studying the life of the Prophet Muhammad. He was inspired by the sincerity, courage, and leadership of the Prophet Muhammad in building a just and compassionate society. Slowly, Kevin began to see Islam not just as a religion, but as a holistic and rational way of life. Spiritual transformation. The pinnacle of Kevin Barrett's spiritual journey came when he decided to pronounce the Shahada, the declaration of faith in Islam. This decision was not made suddenly, but through a long process of reflection, research, and dialogue with other Muslims. Kevin realized that Islam offered a solution to the spiritual and intellectual challenges he had been facing. After embracing Islam, Kevin Barrett continued to study the teachings of this religion and began to apply Islamic values in his daily life. He also became a vocal advocate for social justice and against negative stereotypes about Islam in the West. Early life and spiritual quest. Kevin Barrett was born and raised in a Christian family in the United States. From a young age, he showed a keen interest in science and philosophy. He grew up as an individual who liked to question dogma and seek answers to fundamental questions about life, the existence of God, and the purpose of human life. During his college years, Dr. Barrett began to deepen his study of world religions. He studied Christian philosophy, Judaism, Hinduism, and Buddhism, looking for common threads that connected these spiritual traditions. However, although he found wisdom in each of these religions, he felt that something was still missing, something that could not be explained by mere intellectual means. First encounter with Islam. Kevin's encounter with Islam occurred when he read a translation of the Quran for the first time. Initially, he read the book simply out of curiosity about Middle Eastern culture and religion. However, the deeper he read, the more he felt that the Quran was speaking directly to him. Kevin was impressed by the clarity of the Quran's message about the oneness of God, Tawhid, the concept of life after death, and the importance of social justice. Unlike other holy books he had read, he felt that the Quran was full of logic and harmony. The experience that changed his life occurred when he heard the Adhan, call to prayer, for the first time while visiting Morocco. The sound of the Adhan that flowed in the air made his heart tremble, as if calling him to draw closer to the Creator. Islam is a way of life that teaches love, justice, and brotherhood. For me, this is not just a religion, but a way of life that brings peace to the soul. The process of converting to Islam. After returning to the United States, Kevin began to study Islam in more depth. He read books about the history of the Prophet Muhammad, the lives of his companions, and the basic teachings of Islam. He also began visiting mosques and discussing with the local Muslim community. After months of contemplating his spiritual journey, Kevin finally decided to convert to Islam. He recited the 2 sentences of the Shahada at a local mosque, witnessed by his Muslim friends. This moment marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. Dr. Kevin Barrett is an American scholar who is widely known as a Muslim, who is vocal in fighting for justice and truth. However, before becoming a Muslim, he was an intellectual who went through a long journey of spiritual search. His conversion to Islam not only reflects a personal transformation, but also a journey of searching for universal truth that has had a profound impact on his life. Here is an in-depth account of Dr. Kevin Barrett's process of converting to Islam. 1. Early life, the basics of spiritual search. Kevin Barrett was born into a largely secular family, despite his Protestant Christian background. In his family, religion was not a major part of everyday life, and he grew up without a deep religious experience. From an early age, Kevin showed great intelligence and a keen sense of wonder. He often pondered the big questions of life, such as, what is the purpose of life? Why do humans exist? And is God real? His early education in literature and philosophy broadened his intellectual horizons, but also left him with more questions than answers. 2. Interest in various spiritual traditions. During his college years, Kevin began to study various religious traditions and spirituality. He read the scriptures of Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. Secular philosophies such as existentialism and nihilism also interested him. However, despite this intellectual exploration, he felt he could not find satisfactory answers. The traditions of these religions seemed unable to connect rational logic with his spiritual needs. This drove him to continue searching for the truth, but he had not yet found a faith that truly suited him. First introduction to Islam. Islam first caught Kevin Barrett's attention when he read a translation of the Quran for academic purposes. As an intellectual, he was attracted to Islamic teachings that were considered logical and rational. In the Quran, he found answers that he had not previously found in other religions. One of the things that inspired Kevin was the concept of the oneness of God, Tawhid, in Islam. He was amazed by how Islam emphasizes that God is one, without intermediaries, and does not require human representatives to be worshipped. In addition, Islamic teachings on social justice, solidarity, and the importance of knowledge also aligned with his personal values. 4. Deep personal experiences. In addition to intellectual exploration, Kevin also experienced personal moments that led him to Islam. He often interacted with the Muslim community, both on campus and in his neighborhood. Their simple, peaceful, and wise lives made Kevin increasingly curious about Islamic teachings. On one occasion, he attended a religious event organized by the local Muslim community. There, he felt a sense of calm and togetherness that he had never found anywhere else before. This experience made him even more convinced that Islam is the right way of life. 5th in-depth study of Islam. After feeling a deep interest, Kevin decided to study Islam more seriously. He read books about the life of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, Hadith, and Islamic history. In this process, he became increasingly amazed by the teachings of Islam, which teach a balance between worldly life and the afterlife. Kevin also found that Islam offers logical answers to many philosophical questions that have long bothered him. The concept of humans as caliphs on earth, the importance of morality, and a direct relationship with God provided clarity that he had not found in other traditions. 6. The decision to say the Shahada. After years of searching and contemplation, Kevin finally felt ready to take a big step in his life. He decided to say the Shahada, the statement of faith in Islam. This decision was not made suddenly, but through a long process of reflection and consideration. On that day, with the guidance of an imam, Kevin recited the 2 sentences of the Shahada. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. At that time, he felt incredible peace and happiness. He felt like he had rediscovered his true self. 7. Life changes after converting to Islam. After converting to Islam, Kevin Barrett's life changed significantly. He began to practice Islamic teachings diligently, such as praying 5 times a day, fasting, and improving his relationships with others. In addition, he also became more aware of his social responsibilities as a Muslim. Islam provided a clear direction in his life. He began to see the world through the lens of Islam, which emphasizes the importance of justice, compassion, and truth. Becoming an advocate for justice and a voice for Islam. Kevin Barrett's process of converting to Islam not only had an impact on him personally, but also on his contribution to society at large. He has become a defender of Islam in the West, fighting against Islamophobia and speaking out for interfaith dialogue. Kevin often speaks about his journey to Islam, inspiring many who are also searching for the truth. He shows that Islam is a religion of logic, peace, and compassion, which can answer the intellectual and spiritual needs of modern man. Contributions after converting to Islam. As an intellectual, Kevin Barrett not only practices Islam in his personal life, but also uses his expertise to defend the religion in the public sphere. He has become a prolific writer, publishing numerous articles and books discussing Islam, social justice, and criticizing negative stereotypes about Muslims in the West. Kevin has also become a vocal activist in defending the rights of the Muslim community in the United States. He frequently speaks at international forums, explaining how Islam teaches peace, justice, and equality. Dr. Kevin Barrett is a Muslim scholar, author, and activist who is widely known for his courage in speaking out on controversial issues related to Islam, global politics, and social justice. After converting to Islam, Barrett has become not only a religious practitioner, but also a figure who plays an important role in bridging the gap in understanding between Islam and Western society. Here are some of the important contributions he has made since converting to Islam. Activism against Islamophobia. After embracing Islam, Barrett became a leading voice in countering the negative stereotypes and misconceptions about Islam that have developed in the Western world, especially after the events of September 11, 2001. He uses his academic and media platforms to challenge the Islamophobic narrative often promoted by the mainstream media. Through his lectures, writings, and interviews, Barrett demonstrates that Islam is a religion of peace, rooted in the principles of justice, compassion, and human unity. He often emphasizes that the actions of a few individuals or extremist groups cannot speak for the more than 1 billion Muslims worldwide. 2. Writing and publishing books. As an intellectual, Dr. Kevin Barrett has written and published numerous books that provide critical analysis of global issues. Some of his best-known books include Questioning the War on Terror, a primer for Obama voters; Truth Jihad, My Epic Struggle Against the 9/11 Big Lie. In his works, Barrett dismantles the dominant narrative of the war on terror that is often used to justify foreign policies that are detrimental to Muslim countries. He also explores how global politics often seeks to obscure justice and truth for the sake of certain interests. 3. Education and interfaith dialogue. Barrett believes that education is the key to overcoming misunderstandings between Islam and the West. He actively holds seminars, workshops, and public discussions aimed at creating interfaith dialogue. In these forums, Barrett often invites leaders of other religions, such as Christian priests, Jewish rabbis, and other spiritual figures to discuss universal values such as justice, peace, and humanity. His contributions to interfaith dialogue help reduce tensions and increase cross-cultural understanding. He always emphasizes that all religions have the same goal, which is to guide humans towards a better life. 4th, criticism of unjust global policies. One of his greatest contributions is his vocal criticism of the foreign policies of the United States and its allies, which often harm Muslim countries. Barrett is one of the figures who dare to question the official narrative of the events of September 11th and how the event was used to justify the invasion of countries such as Afghanistan and Iraq. He also advocates for a more equitable and balanced global policy that not only prioritizes the interests of large countries, but also respects the sovereignty and human rights of smaller nations. 5th, alternative media platforms. Barrett understands the importance of media as a means of getting a message across. He is actively involved in building and supporting alternative media platforms that focus on honest and fair reporting. He frequently speaks on independent media outlets, such as Press TV and Veterans Today, to voice his views. Through these platforms, Barrett provides a different perspective on global issues, challenges dominant narratives, and encourages people to think critically. Building an international network for justice. Barrett has also worked with organizations and individuals from various backgrounds to build an international network focused on justice and truth. He has been involved in global campaigns calling for an end to war, respect for human rights, and protection for oppressed Muslim communities. An inspiration for a new generation of Muslims. As a convert to Islam, Barrett has been an inspiration to many, both Muslims and non-Muslims. His journey to Islam shows that truth can be found through sincere and deep searching. Barrett speaks frequently about his experiences as a new Muslim and how Islam has changed his life. He also inspires a younger generation of Muslims to take pride in their identity, stand up against injustice, and be agents of positive change in their communities. Dr. Kevin Barrett's contributions since converting to Islam reflect his dedication to the values of justice, truth, and peace. He has been one of the most consistent voices in speaking out about global injustice and challenging negative stereotypes about Islam. Through his writing, activism, and cross-cultural dialogue, Barrett has made a significant impact in creating a more just and understanding world. Conclusion. Dr. Kevin Barrett's story is one of many inspiring journeys to Islam. His journey teaches us that guidance can come from curiosity and the courage to question things that have been taken for granted. Islam, for him, is not just a religion, but also a way of life that brings true peace and meaning.